The Longyou Caves are one of the most astonishing and perplexing enigmas of ancient architecture ever discovered, yet their construction remains shrouded in mystery more than 2,000 years after their creation. These massive underground chambers, carved meticulously by hand into the bedrock sandstone, lie hidden beneath the earth in Zhejiang province, China, and continue to baffle historians, archaeologists, and engineers alike. They were unknown to the modern world until 1992, when a group of local farmers working to drain the water from a series of ponds stumbled upon an extraordinary secret far below the surface. Instead of muddy pond bottoms, they found vast, cavernous spaces expertly carved out of solid rock. This accidental discovery uncovered not one, but 24 enormous subterranean chambers, stretching across an area roughly equivalent to 4 soccer fields, and each chamber astonishingly precise and uniform in its construction. The marvel of the Longyou Caves lies not only in their immense size but in the mystery surrounding their origin, purpose, and the techniques used to construct them. No historical records mention who built them or why, despite the fact that the scale of the effort must have been colossal. The caves were carved in a style and with a precision that seems far ahead of their time. Their walls and ceilings bear intricate parallel grooves, each etched with perfect regularity, as if drawn by an unseen craftsman's hand with a deep understanding of precision engineering. These grooves extend uniformly across every chamber, presenting a pattern that invites more questions than answers. How could ancient builders, with rudimentary tools, carve these caves so evenly and so perfectly without modern technology? How did they move and remove an estimated 1 million cubic meters of rock without any trace or record left behind? To visualize the scale and intricacy, consider that some chambers reach heights of up to 30 meters, about the height of a 10-story building, with floors so smooth and even that they seem polished. The chambers are separated by walls just half a meter thick in some places, yet no tunnels or connections pierce them, suggesting an intentional design of complete independence among the caverns. The interiors are supported by thick stone pillars, square and robust, standing silently as if guarding the mysteries of a lost civilization. Each pillar and wall remains structurally flawless despite the persevering weight and pressure over 2 millennia, defying expectations that such an ancient man-made structure should have crumbled long ago. Adding to the intrigue, no remnants of tools or building debris have ever been found in or around the caves. No adjacent quarry site was discovered that might explain where the excavated stone material went, casting doubt on the fundamental logistics of how thousands of metric tons of rock were handled without leaving evidence. No ancient manuscript or local legend alludes to the cave's existence. They seem to have vanished entirely from collective memory until those ponds were drained less than 4 decades ago. For a civilization so renowned for its detailed historical record-keeping as ancient China, this absence is mind-boggling. The Longyou Caves exist like an unaccounted-for chapter in history, silently waiting for their purpose to be deciphered. Theories abound. Some speculate that this subterranean labyrinth was a refuge built to protect inhabitants from invasion during turbulent times. Others believe that it could have served as a secret military base, a place to hide weapons or troops. Some suggest the caves were sacred sites or ritualistic chambers for ceremonies lost to time. Yet no one has found any artifacts, inscriptions, or clues within the caves that definitively corroborate these hypotheses. The mystery deepens when considering that the architectural style and sheer labor investment required would have demanded a centralized authority with immense resources and manpower, attributes suggesting imperial involvement, yet no royal records mention these caves or their construction. Experts in architecture and engineering remain astonished by the mathematical accuracy evident in the cave's proportions. The corners are all sharp and true right angles. The floors are flat within millimeters, and the walls rise evenly to form angled ceilings, sloped in such a manner to distribute weight and reduce stress on the pillars and walls. Modern surveying tools confirm that each chamber maintains consistent dimensions and geometric harmony with the others, despite the caves being completely separate and without visible communication corridors. The method of achieving such perfection without contemporary measurements or machinery is a puzzle that continues to defy explanation. In the years since their discovery, the Longyou Caves have become a silent enigma that challenges our understanding of what ancient civilizations could accomplish with limited technology. The more experts investigate, the more questions arise. How did the builders measure and transfer such precise dimensions across multiple caves? How was the labor organized to complete such a massive undertaking without contemporary engineering knowledge? Why was this feat kept secret from history and memory? The caves invite listeners to imagine a profound mystery buried beneath centuries of earth, an extraordinary achievement of craftsmanship and planning lodged in time, waiting silently to be understood. For many who visit or study the Longyou Caves, the experience is not just a glimpse into ancient architecture but a journey into the unknown. The stillness inside the chambers, the echo of footsteps across the stone slabs, and the rhythmic patterns etched into the walls evoke a haunting serenity. It is as if the caves themselves hold a secret language, carved in stone and waiting patiently for the right mind to unlock their story. This introductory exploration of the Longyou Caves offers not only reflection on their monumental scale and inexplicable origin but also immerses one in the peaceful and mysterious atmosphere that has fascinated humanity since their rediscovery. The allure of the Longyou Caves rests precisely in this powerful blend of awe and mystery. As the ancient stone walls whisper their silent stories through the passage of time, they pull listeners gently into a timeless sleep of wonder and curiosity. In this sleep documentary, the journey into the heart of China's 2,000-year-old underground mystery unfolds gently and soothingly, inviting voices of the past and the enigma of human ingenuity to lull the imagination into calm and deep rest. The Longyou Caves continue to capture the imagination of scholars, engineers, and curious minds because of their extraordinary dimensions and the unparalleled precision of their architecture. Imagine stepping into these vast underground chambers and feeling the sheer scale of human effort etched stone by stone into the landscape beneath your feet. Each cave stretches over several thousand square meters, with the ceilings soaring to heights comparable to a 6-story building. The walls stand perfectly vertical, not a single falter or slope breaking their alignment, and the floors are astonishingly flat and smooth. This geometric perfection suggests a level of calculation and planning that would challenge many modern engineers. Remarkably, each chamber follows a consistent architectural pattern. The interiors are marked by rows of massive square pillars that rise evenly from the floor, supporting the ceilings with the precision of a crafted temple or palace. These pillars are not scattered randomly, but positioned as if guided by careful measurement, creating a harmonious balance between support and open space. Architectural studies further reveal that the caves are designed with subtle angled ceilings, generally inclined at around 45 degrees. This incline is not merely aesthetic but serves an important structural function. It redistributes weight from the ceiling to the walls and pillars, ensuring long-term stability. The walls and ceilings bear parallel chisel marks, consistently spaced and aligned across all caves, as if created by artisans who possessed advanced tools or techniques that remain unknown today. These marks are not haphazard. Instead, they prove the builder's intentional effort to create uniformity and texture, perhaps for aesthetic or acoustic reasons. The grooves cast shadows and light patterns that change subtly with the position of the sun during the day, although the caves themselves remain mostly secluded from direct light. Despite their monumental scale and flawless construction, the caves lack the tunnels or passages often seen in typical underground complexes. Each cave stands separate, enclosed by walls approximately half a meter thick, which prevent direct access from one chamber to another. This raises an intriguing question: why build multiple massive caves side by side without connecting them? One might expect a complex underground city, but instead, visitors see isolated halls resembling royal chambers or vast storage cells. Many experts believe that this physical separation served a deliberate purpose, perhaps indicating different functional or symbolic roles for each chamber. The process of construction itself remains a topic of intense debate and amazement, as it conflicts sharply with what historians understand about the technological capabilities of the presumed era of their creation, around 200 BCE to 20 CE, during or just before the Western Han Dynasty. The total volume of stone removed from these caves is estimated to exceed 1 million cubic meters, comparable to the excavation volume of some of the Great Pyramids. Such an undertaking would have demanded immense labor resources and considerable organization, as modern measurements imply the efforts of 1,000 workers continuously working for over 6 years to complete this colossal feat. Yet, the working tools and methods of that time should have made such precision extremely difficult, if not impossible, to achieve. One of the mysteries that intensify this is the absence of any traces of construction debris or quarry remnants nearby. Excavations have yielded no nearby mounds of stone waste, no tools, no remnants of wooden scaffolding, or any other evidence one would expect from a large-scale building site. Traditionally, when massive stones are quarried, a substantial amount of fragments and rubble accumulate at the surface. The lack of such debris suggests that not only did the builders possess an astonishing ability to carve and remove stone, but they also must have had an efficient method to dispose of or repurpose this material far from the site, or perhaps the source of the material was carefully hidden or removed entirely, adding another layer to the enigma. The uniformity in size, style, and layout between the caves also indicates the existence of an advanced planning system. Scholars suggest that the builders must have laid out detailed blueprints or architectural plans, possibly using measuring devices far more complex than known ancient tools like ropes and simple wooden frames. The cave's dimensions are consistent with each other within tight tolerances, a standard that implies knowledge of surveying and geometry. Without tunnels to view the other caves during construction, achieving such alignment and consistency would have required a high degree of skill in measurement and communication, and possibly some form of centralized coordination or surveying technology. Structural analysis conducted by modern engineers confirms that the caves were built to endure. The sandstone that forms the caves is of medium hardness, surprisingly resilient against weathering and seismic forces. The careful choice of rock and design means that the caves have survived multiple earthquakes and environmental changes without significant collapse or damage. Measurements show that the stress distribution on the pillars and vault ceilings remains within safe limits, even after 2 millennia of natural strain. This durability is a testimony to the engineering mastery of the ancient constructors, who seemingly understood how to balance load, tension, and compression without the aid of modern machinery or theoretical physics. Another fascinating architectural feature is the drainage system within the caves. Despite their age, the caves show evidence of advanced water management. The floors are angled subtly to direct water runoff toward small stone drains, preventing the accumulation of moisture that could weaken the structure. Some caves also feature channels or gutters carved into the walls, hinting at considerations for ventilation or water control, essential for maintaining the cave's long-term integrity. Such engineering solutions further indicate the likely intended permanent use of these chambers rather than temporary or incidental construction. What is almost equally remarkable is the artistic element revealed in the cave's precise patterns and textures. Though largely undecorated, the walls' carved lines create a rhythmic and meditative effect, producing an aesthetic harmony between function and form. The repetition of these grooves is hypnotic, almost suggesting a ritualistic or symbolic purpose layered beneath the practical craftsmanship. Whether these markings served a practical purpose in excavation or were meant for symbolic reverence remains debated, but their presence enriches the cave's mystery. Geographically, the Longyou Caves are situated near Fenghuang Hill, an area of relatively simple geology but significant archaeological interest. The rock strata here belong predominantly to a sandstone formation that presents a balance of hardness and workability, enabling carving without excessive fracturing. The site's topography, lying close to the surface and near a river, could have contributed to its selection, providing easy access to water and transportation routes for materials and labor. Still, the sheer ambition and scale of the project, carved deep into a solitary hill without any recorded precedent or follow-up structures, elevates the caves into a class all their own. As modern technology allows researchers to conduct laser scanning and 3D modeling of the caves, the structural consistency becomes increasingly clear. The cave walls maintain parallelism and perpendicularity rarely found even in contemporary underground construction. This accuracy offers modern architects and engineers insights into ancient techniques that are not fully understood. Despite decades of study, no scientific consensus has emerged on exactly how the builders achieved such feats with primitive tools, leaving a gap filled only by speculation and wonder. It could be that an advanced, but now forgotten, ancient civilization possessed technology, knowledge, or methods lost to history. Some believe the caves might have been constructed using high levels of craftsmanship passed down in secret or by a workforce trained under strict centralized control. Others speculate that the caves were built for long-term storage, ceremonial purposes, or defensive refuges, which would explain their rugged and isolated design. The cave's intact state after thousands of years suggests they were never abandoned hastily but maintained carefully, though the absence of artifacts or inscriptions continues to confound those looking for historical context. Exploring the Longyou Caves today is both a journey into engineering marvel and the depths of human curiosity. The grandeur, precision, and conserved condition of these chambers inspire equal parts awe and mystery, inviting everyone who enters to ponder the capabilities of a civilization whose voice echoes faintly through carved stone. As these enormous underground halls transport visitors into the past, they stimulate endless questions about design, labor, and the human spirit's capacity to shape its environment on a monumental scale. These caves are not just relics but living puzzles, demanding exploration with both scientific rigor and imaginative openness. In the soft echo of footsteps and the rhythmic pattern of carved walls, one senses a profound patience, as though the caves themselves are waiting for the past to catch up, for their story to be told and understood. In this chrysalis of stone, where light fades and shadows dance gently on chiseled surfaces, the Longyou Caves remain a timeless testament to the silent power of human ingenuity shaped long ago, beneath the Earth's ancient crust. This text provides a thorough, flowing, and deep look into the scale and architectural genius of the Longyou Caves, written in a continuous and soothing style suitable for a sleep documentary. It can be further extended or refined on request for length or tone. Would the user like me to continue expanding or proceed with additional parts? One of the greatest mysteries surrounding the Longyou Caves is the complete absence of any historical record or documentation about their existence. In a civilization as ancient and historically rich as China's, especially during the Han Dynasty when scribes and scholars compiled meticulous records on everything from farming techniques to dynastic conquests, the fact that no written account, no mention in any annals or scrolls, survives regarding these monumental underground chambers is bewildering. This silence in the historical record evokes a profound sense of wonder and invites deeper reflection on the gaps and losses in human memory. Historians and archaeologists have pored over thousands of ancient texts and historical compilations, searching for any hint or glimpse of the caves, but so far, nothing has surfaced. None of the key classical Chinese histories, such as the Zhejiang, records of the Grand Historian, the Han Shu, Book of Han, or other foundational texts, provide any clue or allusion to a vast subterranean construction in the Zhejiang region. Even oral traditions and folklore in the surrounding areas, which often preserve echoes of ancient events and locations that elude official history, make no mention of these caves. This void creates an even larger puzzle than the caves themselves because an undertaking of such monumental scale and labor, by any known standards, should have left some legacy or narrative trace. The lack of records may reflect the fact that these caves were deliberately kept secret or erased from memory. It is possible that the builders intended the caves to be hidden away from public knowledge either for strategic, religious, or political reasons. Their sheer size and the amount of labor required imply they must have had significant importance, making their quiet absence from documents all the more striking. Conceivably, the caves could have been constructed for confidential purposes, accessible only to a select few, possibly an elite group or ruling class, who ensured that their existence was veiled and passed down quietly through guarded oral tradition if at all. Another possibility is that the caves predate the earliest surviving written records in the region, their origins lost in the depths of prehistory and gradually forgotten as civilizations rose and fell. This hypothesis would position the caves as relics from a forgotten era or culture far older than previously understood, hinting at the existence of an advanced unknown civilization or a now obscured chapter of Chinese history yet to be discovered. Alternatively, the caves might have belonged to a local culture or sect whose history was overshadowed or erased by larger dynastic powers which sought to suppress or overwrite competing narratives. While the mystery of their omission from history deepens, scientists and linguists have also investigated the caves for any physical signs of script, inscriptions, markings, or any symbolic decorations that might offer insight. The surfaces of the walls and pillars have been examined closely, yet there are no signs of written language, hieroglyphics, or symbolic carvings. This absence contrasts sharply with many ancient caves worldwide, which commonly served as canvases for storytelling, religious art, or historic record-keeping. The Longyou Caves' stark and unadorned surfaces only amplify their enigmatic character, as if their builders chose function and precision over expression, or perhaps they intended communication through a language now unintelligible to modern scholars. The absence of documentation and inscriptions thus leaves experts reliant on speculation and scientific analysis rather than historical evidence. Without textual guides, it becomes harder to interpret the original purpose of the caves, why they were hidden, or even who constructed them. This knowledge gap also leaves room for speculation drawn from the cave's physical characteristics, surrounding archaeology, and contextual clues, none of which provide conclusive answers but together form a tantalizing mosaic of possibilities. Some researchers argue that the caves might have been constructed during a period of political upheaval or war, when secrecy was paramount, and public documentation of such structures would have been dangerous or forbidden. Others suggest that the caves could have been places of refuge or secret sanctuaries, designed to shelter people, treasures, or knowledge from enemies or natural disasters. Still, no human remains, burial artifacts, pottery, or tools have been found inside to support the use of the caves as refuges or tombs, leaving these ideas tantalizing but unconfirmed. This absence of conspicuity leads to a broader philosophical reflection on the fragility of human history and the nature of memory. The Longyou Caves remind us that what is recorded is often incomplete, subject to loss through time, or filtered by the perspectives and priorities of those who write history. Beneath the Earth's surface, these vast chambers silently testify to the resilience of physical legacy contrasting with the fragility of human storytelling. They serve as a striking metaphor for all the knowledge and achievements that may have been lost, buried deep beneath the narrative we know. In this silence, the Longyou Caves invite us to reconsider the assumptions about ancient civilizations' knowledge and capabilities. They raise the compelling question: how much of our understanding is limited by the fragmentary nature of surviving evidence? Could there be grand chapters of human achievement that vanished entirely from written records but remain immortalized in stone, waiting patiently to be rediscovered? The mystery of their missing stories stirs the imagination and beckons explorers of history to think beyond the written word, to look instead at the silent wonders carved by hands long gone. As we continue to ponder the implications of this historical silence, the caves themselves challenge us to listen more closely to the clues embedded in their physical form. Their smooth floors, precise angles, and massive pillars seem to speak a language of geometry and endurance, a testimony encoded in stone rather than text. The beauty and intrigue lie in the realization that the cave's history must be pieced together through cross-disciplinary inquiry combining archaeology, geology, engineering, and cultural study rather than relying solely on written tradition. Thus, the Longyou Caves stand not just as an archaeological site but as a profound enigma of lost history, an underground library of stone without pages. They compel us to extend our curiosity beyond inscriptions and chronicles, to embrace uncertainty and the unknown, and to explore the impressive riddles left silently beneath the earth. In the quiet darkness of these ancient caverns, we find a compelling message about the limits of human knowledge and the enduring mystery of time. This revelation, or rather lack of revelation, makes the Longyou Caves fascinating not only as a physical marvel but as a symbol of the countless untold stories hidden across the world, buried under layers of earth and forgotten by the passage of centuries. They remind us that history is often incomplete, and sometimes, the most profound truths lie waiting in silence, challenging us to look closer and listen harder. The absence of documentation about the Longyou Caves is perhaps their loudest whisper, echoing through the ages to remind us how much remains unseen and unknown in the vast tapestry of human history. It is this whisper that draws historians, explorers, and dreamers alike, inviting us all into a journey of discovery, mystery, and quiet contemplation. In stepping into these vast subterranean spaces, one does not simply enter stone chambers, one steps into a space where the voice of history has paused, inviting us to fill the silence with wonder, questions, and the enduring desire to understand. It is an invitation impossible to refuse, a doorway into the unknown framed by walls of perfectly carved stone, waiting for us to unlock their secrets. The tools and methods used to create the Longyou Caves remain one of the greatest puzzles of ancient technology and craftsmanship. Imagine, for a moment, the sheer physical requirement of manually carving hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of cubic meters of sandstone with tools that must have been rudimentary by modern standards. The caves reveal chisel marks that run in parallel lines, spaced with precision, as if crafted by machines, yet no machinery or advanced tools existed in that era to accomplish such work. The stone surfaces tell a silent story of countless hours of repetitive, careful cutting, but the exact instruments used, whether bronze chisels, stone tools, or something lost to history, remain unknown. Experts estimate that the labor force needed to build the caves would have been immense. Calculations based on digging capacity suggest that if a single worker could remove about half a cubic meter of sandstone per day, then a workforce of around 1,000 people working continuously for 6 years would be required just to excavate the volume of the caves. And that is excluding the time and skill required for finishing the surfaces with such uniformity and precision. To sustain such an operation would demand not only manpower but organization, resources, and engineering knowledge far beyond that of typical rural or nomadic societies. The effort echoes the scale of building some of the world's greatest monuments, yet no records or evidence of the supporting logistics have been found. Particularly perplexing is the fact that no construction debris or quarry remnants have been found in the vicinity, which would be expected given the massive volume of rock removed. When stones are quarried, fragments and rubble accumulate near the site unless carefully transported away. The absence of such telltale signs raises questions about how the builders managed waste. One theory suggests that the extracted materials might have been repurposed for other construction projects, used to build fortifications, roads, or walls nearby. Alternatively, it may imply a lost or buried logistics system designed to move debris elsewhere, a feat of organization rarely attributed to cultures of the presumed period. The uniformity and symmetry seen in the cave's architecture also point toward advanced surveying and measurement techniques. Each chamber reflects a consistent geometric plan with right angles, straight edges, and a consistent slope of the ceilings, approximately 45 degrees. Achieving such uniformity without modern surveying instruments like lasers or levels suggests that the builders had developed their own precise methods for layout and alignment, possibly involving ropes, plumb bobs, and sighting devices crafted with great care. Remarkably, despite the caves being separate and cut into solid rock at different locations, the parallelism and proportions match so closely that walls could theoretically have been pierced through if care wasn't taken, a testament to remarkable accuracy. The chisel marks left on the walls present another technological riddle. The marks appear as perfectly spaced parallel grooves, consistent throughout the caves, resembling the marks left by modern power tools such as scarifiers or milling machines, which were obviously unavailable 2,000 years ago. Some investigators have speculated whether these marks could have been made by rotary drills or other unknown ancient technologies. While the conventional explanation suggests skilled artisans manually chiseling with specialized tools in a repeated pattern, the speed and precision required make this scenario almost implausible without some form of machinery or advanced technique. In terms of tools known at the time, bronze and early iron chisels existed and were commonly used in carving and stoneworking. However, their effectiveness and durability vary greatly when used on dense sandstone at such a scale. Continuous sharpening and replacement would have been necessary, along with the organization of skilled laborists to maintain quality. The repetitive parallel patterns suggest that the craftsmen followed strict protocols, potentially innovations in carving technique, such as using guides or templates to standardize rhythm and spacing between chisel strikes. It is also possible that parts of the caves were excavated using techniques lost to history, involving abrasion rather than direct chiseling. Early forms of rotary tools, such as manually turned drill bits or grinding machines powered by water or human labor, could have been developed in secret or limited to select craftspeople. Such technology would explain the regularity of the grooves and flatness of surfaces but remain speculative due to lack of direct archaeological evidence. Some theories even venture into more speculative territory, suggesting forgotten ancient wisdom or technologies that rival modern methods in efficiency and precision. While the removal of the sandstone represents a massive undertaking, so does the micro-level refinement of the caves. The floors are surprisingly flat, carefully finished to avoid water pooling and to aid drainage, determined through slight gradients. This implies not just brute force labor but a sophisticated understanding of hydraulics and environmental factors to maintain the cave's usability and safety across centuries. Similarly, the pillars, cut as perfect squares and spaced uniformly, must have been planned with precise load calculations to support the weight of the rock overhead and ensure earthquake resilience, without modern engineering formulas. One hypothesis is that the workforce was divided into specialized teams: excavators, finishers, surveyors, and support laborers, all coordinated with a level of administrative control indicative of a complex social structure or state organization. This echoes other great architectural projects of ancient China, including the Great Wall and imperial tombs, which required hierarchy and resource management on a vast scale. Yet, unlike those projects, the Longyou Caves remain detached from known historical narratives, adding to their enigma. Moreover, the lack of human artifacts such as tools, pottery, inscriptions, or remains of scaffolding inside the caves adds to the strangeness. No physical evidence of the builders or inhabitants has been found, as though the caves were sealed or abandoned immediately after completion. This absence suggests the possibility that the caves served a very specific, perhaps ritualistic or secretive, function rather than everyday habitation or public use, which may explain the lack of artifacts. The engineering precision of the caves is further reflected in how they have survived over 2 millennia without significant collapse or erosion. They have withstood natural disasters, including numerous earthquakes that have rocked the region. This endurance suggests careful geological study by the builders, who selected the particular sandstone and hill formation to maximize strength and stability. Modern geological surveys confirm that the caves were carved in layers that reduce structural stress and prevent fractures, a remarkable natural engineering insight for an ancient civilization. Despite the mystery, the dedication to craftsmanship and lasting durability speaks volumes about the culture and ingenuity of the builders. Whether the caves were the product of a lost dynasty, a secret society, or an unknown civilization, the scale of labor, technological prowess, and organizational skill required leaves us humbled. It is a testament to human will and creativity, transcending time and inviting us to marvel at what our ancestors were capable of. Thus, the story behind the tools and labor to create the Longyou Caves is still largely unwritten, hidden beneath layers of stone and history. Their construction represents an extraordinary achievement, blending raw human effort with engineering sophistication that continues to challenge modern understanding. The caves remain a silent tribute to unnamed craftsmen who carved precision into bedrock, leaving a legacy that extends far beyond the reach of time, waiting for future discoveries to reveal the true story of their creation. Speculation about why the Longyou Caves were constructed has spurred countless debates and theories among historians, archaeologists, and enthusiasts alike. The mystery does not end with their creation, instead, it deepens as we contemplate the possible purposes that necessitated such an enormous and precise underground undertaking without leaving a single written explanation. As the chambers remain sealed in silence, each theory carries its own allure, its own gravity, compelling us to imagine what these vast hollow halls might once have meant to those who built them or those who used them. One prevailing theory suggests that the caves could have served as protective refuges, designed to shelter people from external threats. In an era marked by frequent battles, invasions, and political upheaval, underground shelters would have offered safety from enemies, natural disasters, or even harsh weather conditions. The solid construction and isolation of the caves, with thick dividing walls and no connecting tunnels, might indicate compartmentalization to safeguard different groups or function as secure chambers. In this light, the caves become a fortress beneath the earth, hidden away and impenetrable, where a community could survive prolonged sieges or chaos above. Yet, the absence of everyday artifacts or remains inside these supposed refuges challenges this interpretation. One would expect to find pottery, tools, personal belongings, or evidence of long-term habitation if the caves served as living quarters during times of distress. The lack of such items casts doubt on the caves as actual dwellings or emergency shelters, suggesting instead that if they were refuges, they may have been intended for short-term use, or their contents removed deliberately to maintain secrecy or sanctity. Another possibility is that the caves functioned as large-scale storage facilities. Their dry, stable underground environment with regulated temperature and humidity would have made an ideal location to store grains, valuables, or important artifacts. Large underground warehouses exist worldwide, chosen for protection against fire and theft. The massive size of each chamber and their proximity yet lack of internal connectivity could reflect distinct storage zones for different goods or purposes. This would account for the cave's robust design and strategic concealment. However, this theory also faces challenges. No remnants of granaries, storage jars, or partitions have been found, nor signs of repeated human activity like footprints or handling marks. If the caves had been used as granaries or warehouse spaces, some trace of their function would likely survive. The smoothness and neatness of the floors appear inconsistent with frequent usage, suggesting long periods without disturbance. A more spiritual or ritualistic explanation proposes that the caves were sacred sites, built as temples or places of worship hidden underground. Throughout history and across civilizations, subterranean spaces have served as symbolic gateways to the underworld, sanctuaries for religious ceremonies, or settings for rituals demanding isolation from the outside world. The architectural precision and silence within the caves support this idea of a spiritual sanctuary designed to inspire awe and contemplation. The uniformity of the walls' parallel grooves may have held symbolic meaning, possibly related to religious or cosmic symbolism lost to us. The pillars might not simply bear weight structurally but could have been perceived as spiritual pillars linking earth and heaven. The absence of carvings or iconography might indicate either a lost symbolic language or a culture that embraced minimalistic sacred spaces. Conversely, the grandeur of the caves could imply their use as monumental tombs or burial chambers for nobility or royalty. The scale and effort invested in carving such immense halls from solid rock resemble other grand tombs and mausoleums of ancient China. However, no human remains, funerary objects, or ritual deposits have been uncovered in any of the caves, which contradicts this theory. Perhaps these chambers were symbolic tombs, representing the power or beliefs of a ruling elite, rather than sites for burial themselves. Intriguingly, the caves might also have served as secret headquarters or meeting places for elite groups, scholars, or military leaders. Their isolation, secrecy, and silence would make them ideal for confidential gatherings, planning sessions, or councils hidden from public view. The absence of normal domestic signs inside might result from strict control over activities and maintenance of secrecy. Indeed, some researchers speculate that the caves were a demonstration of power and technological achievement, built to showcase the might of an empire or ruler via a monumental underground project. Similarly to other great ancient constructions like the pyramids in Egypt or the Great Wall of China, the caves might have been symbols of dominance, legacy, and cultural identity designed to endure time. Lastly, some propose more speculative or esoteric theories, suggesting unknown purposes ranging from astronomical observatories concealed underground to places designed for meditation or scientific experiments. The cave's acoustic properties, which amplify or dampen sound in unusual ways, add to this speculation, hinting that ancient architects might have understood and exploited these effects intentionally. While none of these theories conclusively explain the cave's purpose, the multiplicity of possibilities highlights the complexity and scale of the achievement. Each hypothesis invites us to peer deeper into the enigmatic minds of ancient Chinese artisans and leaders, imagining their motivations, whether practical, spiritual, strategic, or symbolic. The Longyou Caves ultimately resist all simple explanations, commanding respect not only for their physical grandeur but for the enduring mystery of their intent. They beckon us to embrace the unknown and celebrate the creativity of human endeavor, standing silently as monuments to dreams, fears, and ambitions carved not in ink or clay but solid stone. To wander through these vast underground galleries is to traverse the corridors of imagination, where every shadow and every carved line becomes a portal to history, prehistoric technology, and the universal human quest for meaning beyond the surface of things. Beneath the Earth's crust, these caves hold their quiet secrets, inviting us to listen deeply to the echoes of time and wonder about who we once were and what we might yet come to understand. The engineering precision visible throughout the Longyou Caves speaks volumes about the profound knowledge and skills possessed by their ancient builders. Every element of the cave's structure reveals a deep understanding of geometry, physics, and material properties, harmoniously blended through hands-on experience and perhaps lost wisdom. From floor to ceiling, every surface exhibits clarity of purpose, meticulous measurement, and a mastery of stonecraft that defies simple explanation. The chiseling on the walls, the perfectly straight edges, and the calculated angles manifest not only aesthetic beauty but critical functionality that has allowed these caves to withstand the tests of time and nature. The floors of the caves are perhaps the first feature that impresses the visitor, not just because of their vast expanse but due to their surprising flatness and smoothness. Surveyors who have studied the caves with laser instruments note that the floors are leveled within millimeters across hundreds of meters, an achievement difficult even for modern construction. This flatness plays a critical role in reducing water accumulation and maintaining the structural integrity of the caves over centuries. Subtle gradients direct rainwater or groundwater toward carefully designed drainage channels, a smart design feature indicating knowledge of hydraulic engineering. The walls, the most visually commanding part of each chamber, display a rhythm of parallel grooves and uniform depth. These grooves, evenly spaced and continuous over large surfaces, serve multiple possible functions. Some suggest they enhance the cave's resistance to seismic stress by segmenting the wall surfaces, allowing slight movements without catastrophic failure. Others propose an acoustic reason, as the grooves may reduce echo or create specific sound distortions aiding ceremonies or communication within the cave. As the grooves are made with such thorough consistency, their purpose must have been significant, blending art and science seamlessly. The pillars that rise from the floors to the ceilings act as the primary load-bearing structures, and their design reflects profound structural understanding. These massive square columns are evenly spaced in a strikingly orderly grid, supporting the rock overhead with precision. Geotechnical analyses suggest that the spacing and thickness of these pillars were calculated to manage the weight of the sandstone above while minimizing the risk of fractures or deformation. The absence of cracks in these pillars after 2 millennia testifies to the skill with which the material properties and stress distribution were anticipated and addressed. Moreover, the pillar's smoothness and sharp edges suggest advanced stone finishing techniques that minimized stress rises tiny imperfections where cracks typically start. This attention to detail shows that the builders were not only concerned with creating vast spaces but also with ensuring durable construction that could stand unchanged for centuries. Their craftsmanship was laborious and precise, involving repeated refinement and finishing processes, likely demanding great patience and disciplined craftsmanship. The angled ceilings, typically sloping at about 45 degrees, further reveal structural sophistication beyond the builder's era. By inclining the ceiling surfaces, the cave's design directs the immense rock weight laterally toward the pillars and walls, distributing the stress evenly. This method reduces the pressure on any single point, enhancing the overall stability of the cavern and preventing collapse. Modern architectural techniques use similar principles to ensure the longevity of vaults and domes. Another layer of engineering expertise is seen in the cave's ventilation and drainage systems. Although underground, the caves were designed to prevent the buildup of stagnant air and moisture, threats that could accelerate deterioration or harm inhabitants. Small drainage channels carved into floors and walls lead water away efficiently, while ventilation shafts, though minimal and cleverly concealed, allow for airflow. The precise design of these elements reflects a comprehensive understanding of environmental factors, enabling the cave's preservation in a humid climate. Geological studies of the cave's foundation geology confirm that the builders selected the site very deliberately, choosing a sandstone layer known for its balance of hardness and workability. This choice was crucial. Too soft, and the caves would collapse; too hard, and carving would be almost impossible. The natural fractures within the rock were also considered. The caves are carved in orientations that minimize damage from existing faults or weaknesses. Such choices imply an empirical or even scientific knowledge of geology rarely attributed to ancient societies. The engineering challenges of this scale, executed with such precision, demonstrate a level of architectural and construction planning that rivals many modern underground projects. Whereas today's engineers use computer modeling, lasers, and heavy machinery, the Longyou builders must have relied on manual measurements, human labor, and tactile judgment honed by tradition and observation. This contrast only amplifies the expertise embedded in the cave's design and execution. Research also examines potential construction sequences, suggesting the builders worked systematically, beginning with rough excavation followed by finer chiseling and smoothing, all carefully planned to maintain structural balance. This approach prevented uneven load distribution during construction phases, lowering the risk of collapse before completion. The logistical organization to coordinate workers, tools, and stages of work for multiple caves simultaneously suggests a centralized leadership and skilled project management. Even the repetitive patterns of chisel marks have been theorized as more than mere accident or tool wear. They could be part of quality control measures or guidelines followed meticulously by the builders. Such discipline implies the presence of master craftsmen directing teams, enforcing standards, and ensuring consistency across vast work areas, a hallmark of complex engineering projects. While many questions about their technology remain unanswered, what emerges clearly is a story of human ingenuity, precision, and perseverance. The Longyou Caves are not accidental hollows but carefully designed, highly calculated spaces that merge art, science, and utility in stone. They hold lessons about the intersection of natural resource management, structural design, labor coordination, and visionary craftsmanship in a world whose records are largely lost. Standing today inside these grand halls, one cannot help but marvel at their solidity and grace, artifacts of ancient minds whose capabilities rival our own. The caves silently challenge assumptions about what ancient civilizations could achieve, inviting us into a shared heritage of human creativity spanning millennia. Within the cool shadows of these vast underground spaces, the combination of geometry, material science, and artistic vision echoes across time, reminding us that engineering is as much about understanding and respecting nature as about shaping it. The Longyou Caves remain an enduring testament to this principle, an ancient masterpiece sculpted in silence, waiting patiently to share its wisdom. The Longyou Caves offer more than architectural marvels. They are equally fascinating for the natural context and geological environment that both challenged and sustained their existence through millennia. These massive caverns were carved into the argillaceous siltstone of a particular geological formation known as the Zhejiang Formation, a layer of rock dating back to the late Cretaceous period. This type of sandstone is soft enough to be carved by hand yet robust enough to maintain structural integrity over thousands of years when carefully excavated. The choice of this geological stratum was no accident but a testament to the ancient builders' empirical understanding of their environment and materials. Geologists studying the site have noted that the surrounding rock mass appears remarkably intact and stable, thanks to a low degree of fault development and seismic activity in the region. The relatively blocky and monolithic structure of the sandstone reduces weaknesses that might have otherwise caused collapses or cracks. The ancients appear to have selected an area with minimal jointing or fracturing, ensuring the stone would remain consistent and resilient. Furthermore, the caves are carved in directions that align with the natural bedding planes of the rock, a subtle but critical detail preventing undue stress and enhancing longevity. Despite the generally solid geological setting, the caves have not escaped environmental influences. The region's climate features a humid subtropical environment with warm summers and abundant rainfall. Over centuries, water seepage and temperature fluctuations begin to wear on the rock surfaces. Scientists have found evidence of weathering and chemical alteration on the cliffs and entrances to the caves, including slow erosion and mineral dissolution from acid rain and groundwater action. These natural forces pose ongoing risks to the cave's preservation without appropriate conservation efforts. The cave's engineering also incorporates environmental adaptations to combat moisture and air stagnation, showcasing an ancient architectural mastery of natural ventilation and drainage. The 5 main caves, discovered first, demonstrate a system of channels and water traps carved into floors and walls to collect and redirect rainwater and groundwater runoff. This reduced water accumulation inside the caves, critical for preserving both the structure and any contents placed within. Ventilation shafts, though subtle and largely concealed from outside view, allow air circulation that moderates temperature and prevents mold or decay. The design balances the need for airtight protection with these tiny air passages that sustain a breathable and more stable cave environment. This balance, intuitive to the builders, reflects a nuanced grasp of micro-environmental control that ensures the cave's continued usability and longevity. Scientists have also been intrigued by the cave's acoustic properties, which add another layer of environmental complexity. Visitors and researchers alike report that the Longyou Caves possess remarkable sound characteristics. Sound echoes differently and carries uniquely in the vast chambers. Some say that whispering in one part of a cave can be clearly heard on the opposite side because of the stone surfaces and chamber shapes, while other areas dampen noise to almost total silence. These acoustic features may not be coincidental. The precision of wall grooves and pillar placement could have been designed with sound modulation in mind, potentially enhancing ritualistic ceremonies or secret communications within the chambers. This fascinating possibility merges natural geology with cultural practice, showing an exquisite harmony between environment and human intention. Looking closer at the natural setting, the caves sit near the Chu River, not far from the village of Zhejiang, Beitsuan, a location that would have provided crucial water resources yet may have presented flooding risks. The builder's knowledge of the local hydrology is implied by drainage systems that navigate around these challenges, controlling how water flows both inside and out of the underground complex. This environment, shaped by bedrock, water, and climate, operates together with the caves to form an ecosystem that has allowed the site to maintain its integrity over centuries of natural change. Temporal fluctuations of humidity and temperature around and within the cave subtly influence rock stress and moisture levels, factors that can lead to crack propagation or material weakening. Recent studies focus on how ongoing environmental changes, especially rising air humidity linked to modern human interaction through tourism and changing climates, may affect the sandstone's stability. Researchers emphasize the need for careful monitoring and conservation strategies to mitigate the long-term impact of moisture on the vulnerable cavern walls and ceilings. In essence, the Longyou Caves are not frozen snapshots in time but dynamic sites where human creation intersects continuously with the natural world. Their survival owes as much to ancient geological wisdom and environmental adaptation as it does to stone and chisel. The enduring dialogue between earth and artisan, nature and engineer, resonates within these vast halls, a timeless story of balance and resilience. Visitors today can also experience this unique natural and acoustic ambience firsthand. 5 caves are open to the public, hosting not only tourists but cultural events, including musical performances. The astounding acoustics transform these spaces into venues where ancient walls become instruments themselves, amplifying sound in ways that captivate audiences and deepen the mystery. It is as if the caves themselves still breathe, reverberating with the unseen voices of their makers and the echoes of thousands of years. Thus, the geological and acoustic essence of the Longyou Caves integrates the natural world's forces with human ingenuity. It reveals a profound respect for materials and environment enshrined in stone, guiding us to appreciate the caves not only as architectural wonders but as living entities shaped by and shaping their surroundings across the ages. The modern quest to understand the Longyou Caves has led to a series of sophisticated investigations, harnessing the latest technologies in archaeology, geology, and structural engineering. Since their rediscovery in 1992, these enormous underground spaces have fascinated researchers endlessly, inspiring efforts to unravel their secrets using non-invasive methods that preserve their integrity while gathering unprecedented data. One of the initial approaches involved ground-penetrating radar (GPR), a technology used to image below the Earth's surface with high resolution. GPR surveys in the area surrounding and beneath the Longyou rock formations revealed the outlines of the caves before physical excavation, confirming their extent and helping map the true scale of the underground labyrinth. This technology allowed scientists to locate cavities without disturbing the delicate soil and rock, providing early clues about the number, size, and arrangement of the chambers. Subsequent use of three-dimensional, 3D, laser scanning and photogrammetry created detailed digital models of the cave's interiors. These scans captured the precise dimensions, geometry, and surface texture of the chambers, pillars, and walls, enabling researchers to analyze the architectural consistency and engineering precision with millimeter accuracy. The level of detail in these models is remarkable, allowing virtual exploration from anywhere in the world and serving as indispensable tools for study, preservation, and public visualization. These technologies also facilitated structural analyses that assess the cave's stability and highlight areas of potential risk. Using data from the scans, engineers model stress distribution across walls and pillars, identifying any zones vulnerable to fractures or erosion. These predictive simulations have informed early conservation efforts, targeting specific sections requiring reinforcement or environmental control to prevent deterioration. Dating the caves has proven challenging due to the absence of organic materials or artifacts that could be subjected to radiocarbon dating. Instead, researchers have turned to indirect methods such as studying sediment layers, mineral deposits on the rock surfaces, and stylistic comparisons to other dated structures. By correlating geological data with regional history, scientists estimate the cave's origin around 2,000 years ago, roughly contemporaneous with the Western Han Dynasty, though exact precision remains elusive. Efforts to find inscriptions or tool marks with datable organic residues have so far borne no fruit, leaving the cave's precise chronological placement a subject of ongoing inquiry. Yet despite this uncertainty, the cave's construction methods and style align with technologies and cultural artistry recognizable in known Han Dynasty works. The absence of written records has propelled scholars to broaden their investigations into regional archaeology and historical geography, looking for contextual clues linking the caves to known settlements, trade routes, or political centers of antiquity. Excavations in nearby villages and sites have uncovered artifacts that enrich the cultural background but remain disconnected from the caves themselves, deepening the enigma. One intriguing hypothesis is that the caves might be part of a network of underground constructions, possibly extending beyond the 24 known chambers. Indirect evidence from seismic imaging and magnetic surveys hints at additional cavities yet unexplored, suggesting the Longyou complex could be larger and more intricate than currently documented. If verified, this would elevate the site's significance, indicating a sprawling subterranean city or facility with layers of functional and symbolic meaning. This multiplicity of investigation techniques underscores a modern interdisciplinary approach, combining archaeology, geophysics, materials science, and digital technology to piece together a comprehensive understanding of the caves. Each study, every scan and analysis, adds dimensions to the story, yet simultaneously highlights the vastness of the unknown. Preservation programs have also grown alongside discovery efforts. Given the cave's susceptibility to environmental damage from humidity, human traffic, and natural degradation, conservationists have implemented measures such as controlled visitor access, climate regulation systems, and ongoing structural monitoring. These efforts aim to safeguard the caves for future generations while balancing public interest with scientific investigation. Moreover, modern research has opened the caves to the world, inviting scholars and curious minds to partake in a shared journey of discovery. Virtual reality tours, digital archives, and interactive exhibits make it possible for those unable to visit in person to experience the cave's majesty and mystery, fostering global appreciation and awareness. The Longyou Caves continue to inspire new generations of scientists, engineers, and historians to innovate methods of exploration and interpretation, reflecting humanity's enduring drive to uncover and understand its origins. This journey reveals not only the cave's physical characteristics but the evolving relationship between humankind and its past, a dance of discovery that spans centuries. Through these cumulative efforts, the Longyou Caves emerge not only as relics of an ancient civilization but as living laboratories of knowledge where modern technology meets ancient craftsmanship, where past and present intertwine in a dialogue carved in stone and light. The quest for answers proceeds cautiously yet passionately, honoring the silent grandeur of these underground wonders. As research advances, the promise of deeper insights beckons, perhaps one day unraveling fully the cave's origins, functions, and significance. Until then, their vast chambers stand as mysterious monuments that challenge our curiosity, inviting us to listen carefully, look closely, and imagine freely. In their silent embrace, the Longyou Caves hold the space between past and future, science and mystery, fact and wonder, timeless and waiting. The Longyou Caves have long captured the imagination not just of archaeologists and engineers but also of storytellers and cultural historians who explore the rich tapestry of myths and legends that might surround this extraordinary place. While the caves themselves stand silent and devoid of inscriptions or direct historical accounts, their very existence has inspired folklore and speculative narratives, weaving the past with the mysteries of human belief and storytelling. Local legends in the surrounding regions offer tantalizing, though tenuous, links to the caves. Some villagers speak of ancient giants or enigmatic beings who were said to have carved the earth itself, moving mountains with supernatural strength and will. These stories, passed down orally through generations, often describe mysterious underground palaces or hidden realms beneath the very soil they walk on. Although these tales are difficult to verify historically, they reflect a collective sense of awe and wonder inspired by the massive underground chambers. In broader Chinese mythology, underground realms hold significant symbolic meaning. The underworld is often depicted as a place of transition, judgment, or spiritual passage. Temples and shrines devoted to ancestral worship and the afterlife abound, and some hypothesize that the Longyou Caves might have served a similar metaphysical purpose. The silence, darkness, and grandeur of the caves parallel descriptions of such sacred, otherworldly spaces where the physical and spiritual intersect. These mythological interpretations invite us to consider the caves not merely as physical constructions but as symbols deeply embedded in the cultural consciousness of the people who built or used them. The absence of literal inscriptions could itself be intentional, encouraging visitors to experience the cave's sacredness through atmosphere and structure rather than explicit narrative. Scholars exploring this intersection of archaeology and mythology note that many ancient sites worldwide, from the pyramids of Egypt to the megalithic structures of Europe, similarly blur the line between architectural function and spiritual symbolism. The Longyou Caves, by their scale and secrecy, fit naturally in this global tradition of monumental spaces serving multiple purposes: physical, symbolic, and communal. Intriguingly, no artifacts typically associated with religious use, such as altars or statues, have been found inside the caves, which might suggest a purity of space intended for specific rites or contemplations unburdened by elaborate trappings. The austere surroundings invoke a feeling of solemnity and silence, qualities essential to various spiritual practices. In recent decades, some researchers have drawn parallels between the Longyou Caves and other ancient yet enigmatic underground spaces across Asia. Similarities in construction patterns, isolation, and mysterious origin stories hint at the possibility of broader cultural exchange or shared philosophical ideas influencing these structures. These comparisons deepen the intrigue, raising questions about whether the caves were part of a wider tradition of sacred placemaking or represent an unparalleled, localized expression of spiritual significance uniquely shaped by the region's landscape and cultural history. Moreover, exploration into cosmological beliefs of early Chinese civilizations reveals that certain geometric patterns and architectural alignments were designed to reflect celestial or earthly harmonies. If so, the cave's precise angles, pillar placements, and chamber proportions might symbolize broader cosmic principles, turning the caves into massive stone mandalas or earthly representations of universal order. While purely speculative, such interpretations offer profound insights into potential layers of meaning encoded in the cave's design. They encourage us to think beyond utilitarian purposes to embrace the caves as spaces where the boundary between humanity and the cosmos might have been contemplated. These reflections elevate the Longyou Caves beyond mere archaeological curiosity, placing them within the realm of human cultural achievement that transcends time. They stand as silent witnesses to a worldview that recognized the power of sacred space and the infinite complexity of human belief systems. As modern visitors walk through the vast, echoing chambers, a sense of ancient spirituality can be sensed, not necessarily of any single religion or dogma, but of the universal human desire to connect with something greater than oneself. This intangible dimension adds a timeless mystique to the caves, inviting those who enter to step out of everyday reality and into a realm shaped by function, faith, and imagination. Perhaps the greatest tribute to the Longyou Caves as places of mysterious spiritual resonance is their ability to spark the imagination. They cause us to wonder not only about who built them but why, what their creators believed, and how those beliefs shaped the physical world beneath their feet. Through generations, myth and stone intertwine in these silent halls, challenging us to listen to the whispers of the past and imagine the hopes and fears that carved such enduring monuments. The caves serve as portals, bridging the earthly and ethereal, where history and legend merge in an eternal dance beneath the surface of time. The Longyou Caves, silent and vast, hold secrets untouched by time, resting beneath the earth, a mystery carved in stone, waiting, always waiting. They speak softly of human endeavor, of hands that worked tirelessly, minds that dreamed beyond measure, and hearts that sought meaning in the darkness. These caves withstand centuries, resilient, enduring, echoing the whispers of the ancients who shaped them in silence. Through storms and calm, through human passage and nature's quiet assault, they remain, steadfast, a testament to unseen wisdom and effort. The emptiness within is filled with wonder, with questions that swirl like mist among the pillars and walls. Why were they made? For whom? What stories were lost before the stones cooled? The answers drift just beyond grasp, elusive as shadows in twilight. Each chamber, precise, reflects a harmony of thought and skill, a dance of geometry and labor. The patterns etched deep into the rock are not random but purposeful, a language in lines and grooves, inviting us to listen, to feel, to imagine. The caves do not reveal their story easily, yet their very silence is a form of narrative, a space where reflection lingers. They teach patience, humility, and curiosity, coaxing us to explore not just their depths but the depths within ourselves. In their quiet, there is a powerful presence, a weight of history and humanity bound in stone. They call for respect, for awe, for a gentle understanding of how life, effort, and mystery intertwine across ages. As night falls and thoughts slow, the caves become a sanctuary for the mind, a place where the senses soften and the world recedes. They cradle the spirit, offering calm, a lullaby of permanence amid fleeting time. For those who venture inside, the caves offer not answers, but a journey, a passage into contemplation. A reminder of the vastness both around us and within us, of the unknown that forever invites discovery. So we linger in their presence, drawn by mystery and silence, comforted by the strength of stone, whispering softly, carrying the echoes of the past into the stillness of sleep and dreams. The Longyou Caves, enduring and enigmatic, remain an underground symphony of human mystery and the timeless call of the unknown.